Get ready. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. Start. After an exhaustive speech that my honorable colleague, the finance minister, has made, I have very little to say. The reasons for the modification of the award have also been given in the statement annexed to the order of the Ministry of Labour dated 24th August 1998 and placed on the table of the House. Ever since the publication of the Appellate Tribunal's award, when rumblings of growing discontent on both sides began to be heard, I have been greatly concerned on two accounts. Firstly, I have been most anxious that the state of tension which has existed in the relationship between employers and employees in the banking field during the last 5 or 6 years should relax and give place to an enduring relationship based on goodwill and contentment. Secondly, I have been equally anxious that while the terms of final settlement of the dispute should not be such as to injure the cause of banking in the country, they should be fair to the vast number of what are known as the lowest categories of bank employees and who have put up with much trouble and expense during all these years of costly litigation. It is true that government has been given the power under the Industrial Disputes Appellate Tribunal Act to accept, reject or modify the award of an industrial tribunal if and when government is satisfied that it is expedient in the public interest to do so. It cannot be disputed that the said powers should be exercised by government with due care and caution in exceptional circumstances and for very strong reasons of public interest, and that the modification of an award of an industrial tribunal by executive action is prima facie not desirable. I also subscribe to the views expressed by many honorable members that the sanctity of the award, which is in the nature of a judicial pronouncement, should be respected by conventions and precedents. Honorable members have heard from my colleague, the finance minister, how the full burden of the appellate tribunal award might have brought about a crisis in the banking industry. In particular, he has told the House how banking facilities in rural areas might have suffered a serious setback on account of the burden. The arguments that he has adduced are before the House, and I would request honorable members to consider them dispassionately. If any bank is really going to suffer a serious setback, I am sure that this House, and I venture to say all sections of it, will accept the necessity of modification, however much they might ordinarily condemn such a step as being bad in principle and unacceptable in practice. After all, it is only in a healthy economy that bank employees or any other groups of wage earners can hope to secure a reasonable living. No doubt, government must take care to see that the awards of judicial and quasi-judicial bodies arrived at after the most exhaustive studies and researches are not lightly brushed aside, and that none but the gravest consequences are allowed to justify any modification which might go against the immediate interests of the weaker side, that is, labor. Government have placed all their cards before the House, and it is for the honorable members to decide whether their judgment is right and whether it has been taken only after the most careful consideration. It cannot be a pleasant prospect for any government to pass orders which will have the effect of depriving low-paid employees of a portion of their emoluments, and when they undertake such an unenviable but perhaps inevitable task, they would be doing so after careful consideration. Governments are no more infallible than individuals, but no government worth the name can afford deliberately or negligently to cloud its vision and judgment by partiality or careless assumptions. I would therefore appeal to honorable members not to doubt the bona fides of government. If government in fact have gone wrong, it is for the employees to place facts and figures before them with a view to persuading them to change their decision. According to one estimate made by the employees, 70% or so of the employees stand to lose by the amended award. If that is so, employees would do well to supply lists of persons who will be suffering a reduction in their emoluments. Finally, I must appeal to both employers and employees to consider these problems objectively and dispassionately. They have been before courts and tribunals for the last 5 or 6 years and have expended a good deal of time, temper and resources in the prosecution of the judicial proceedings. It is time that they settled all odds, scores and got down to the business of banking. Their own prosperity is directly linked to the prosperity of the bank they serve. In this bill, I do not quite understand one peculiar thing. In all other legislations, we have the feeling that government wants to make more powers.